Hello, everyone. If any of you are curious, never mind, I'll write it in the email. Let's begin with this lecture on Lebanon. So you've seen the documentary as well as the film. So now I'm just going to give you the context in which both took place. If we look at this map, and keep in mind this is just a very rough estimation, and a lot has changed since this map was produced, but it gives you a rough idea of why Lebanon is distinct in the region, and its distinction comes from its religious diversity. What are you seeing here is a country that is divided, but not necessarily in kind of any cohesive blocks. You have Lebanese Shias in the south as well as in the north. You have Lebanese Christians, whether they're Catholics or Orthodox, scattered throughout. You have then another Christian group that is also Catholic, known as the Maronite Church. Now, one of these groups is a majority. Okay, the Shia form the plurality of Iraq. The reason why we're focusing 2 weeks on such a small country, and I'll just tell you how small it is. From the south to the north, you could cross it in 2 hours. With traffic and the bad roads that are problematic in Lebanon, it will take you 3 hours. And you all know this because we took a Winnebago trip through here. So why devote 2 weeks to such a small country? Well, because this is one of the few case studies where we have a country that's both Christian and Muslim. And it's important because it shows that, you see, the patriarchy that we've been studying, regardless if you're Christian or Muslim, the patriarchy is kind of a constant cultural phenomenon in Lebanon. Okay, and it's important because it undoes this binary of kind of Islam versus the West, or undoes this kind of notion of something inherently to the Islamic faith that is inherently patriarchal. What can I tell you about Lebanon, though, that kind of gives you a glimpse? If we look, these are Lebanese women, one of the earliest photos of Lebanese women. And what does this show? No Lebanese woman around this time went out with her hair uncovered. In fact, let me see if I have a description. Okay. Women of Mount Lebanon. All right, so what does this picture tell us? Okay, so the minute I saw Mount Lebanon, I know that 2 of these women are Christian, still covering the hair. And one of these belongs to another group that is not, it's called the Druze, D-R-U-Z-E. It's an offshoot of Islam, but we see here also the one with the conical headdress. Okay. And what can we say of Lebanon in the 1970s? It was happening, it was swinging. This is kind of showing you what life looked like in what was called the Middle Eastern Riviera of its time. And you get these kind of pictures that are collected from the time. People went there for belly dancing, not just from outside the region, but within the region. Yeah, as well as brought a lot of Western tourists. And if you're seeing here the picture on the right, these are men from Saudi Arabia going to, well, basically enjoy the less restrictive cultural norms that you had in Lebanon. And just give you some idea of a country that would, I mean, if you look at all these buildings, I'm sure they're all going to get destroyed as of 1975 in a bitter civil war. So this is what we used to exist. And yeah, I can tell you for a fact, none of these buildings are standing. Yeah, particularly this neighborhood. They got destroyed to rubble. And here's just an ad from Lebanon. Like I said, this was it was a Christian Muslim society, very secular. I don't know if you could call this patriarchy of the market. Well, no, not really. No, but just to go to show you that, yeah, like Lebanon was quite secular in culture. Okay, then what happened? Divide occurred first along first along Muslim Christian lines. And the Muslim Christian divide around 1975 had a couple of issues brewing. Number one, Lebanon's border were more or less drawn up by the French. And the French, out of affinity to the Maronite Catholics, drew the borders so that the Maronites would be the majority. What happened over an extended period of time? So we're talking about here after World War I. It was apparent that with the Maronites had lower birth rates, they were emigrating from the country, that the Muslims were slowly approaching the majority. There were other issues as well. The Lebanese Christians, well, particularly the Maronites, I can say, tended to be more pro-West. Now, keep in mind, this is at the height of the Cold War. The Muslims tended to lean towards the left, if not leaning towards the Soviet Union. The Lebanese tended to be kind of, the Maronites, that is, right-wing, the Muslims left-wing. One of the many factors that would lead to the Civil War. Now, this is, again, not a history of politics or the stuff that men like this do, but nonetheless, I show this poster. This particular person here was, this poster, if it looks like the Uncle Sam poster, well, it's inspired by it. It's saying that Lebanon needs you. But when he's saying Lebanon needs you, he is really referring to the Lebanese Maronite Catholic community. I need you to join my, not the Lebanese army, but my militia to protect Lebanon as I define it. Along the Lebanese Maronite militias, you did have women taking an active role in the fighting. Now, keep in mind, there is still a patriarchy here, and that they were fighting on behalf of this patriarch. His last name is Jumail. His name isn't important. We have to understand he was the patriarch of this kind of political faction turned militia. He was charismatic, very charismatic leader, and had kind of a cult of personality around him. So very much, what I'm saying, he's very much a patriarchal kind of figure over this political movement. And yeah, here you can see the women fighting for his particular militia. Now, as you've seen the documentary, you would learn that even though women started to join this militia, later women would join all other militias on the opposite side. So that would not be uncommon to have, let's say, women militia members fighting other women. Such as this party here. So if this was the Lebanese Maronite militia, it's called the Lebanese Forces. Here, this woman is fighting for another party that tended to be, if I said the Lebanese Maronites were right-wing, this party was left-wing. It was called, well, kind of left-wing. It was called the Syrian Socialist Nationalist Party. And when you combine socialism with nationalism, what do you have? Reverse the order. When you combine nationalism with socialism, what do you have? Well, you have Nazism. And the founder of this Lebanese militia, in fact, had gone to Germany, participated in the 1936 Olympics. And upon returning back to Lebanon, he wanted to create a Lebanese party like the Nazi party. Now, look what the name is, though. It's the Syrian Social Nationalist Party. He inverted the socialist nationalism because nationalism, socialism had a bad ring to it after World War II. It was calling for a greater Syria, just like Nazism called for a greater Germany. Remember what I said, Lebanon was carved out by the French. There had been a unique cultural region known as Mount Lebanon. Okay, but to create a state called Lebanon, that was an entire matter That was really more or less done by the French. So even though this is a Lebanese party, it's calling for unification with Greater Syria. Okay, so these would be the women fighting on the other side, and you have to realize that these were some of the first suicide bombers in the region. Why is this important that I mentioned that the first suicide bombers? Usually we associate suicide bombers with martyrdom and an Islamic tradition. The idea that you kill yourself in the name of the faith in battle, you will go directly to heaven. You have to realize this is a relatively modern idea. It didn't really develop into the mid 1980s, okay? And it was not developed until this group pioneered the tactic. You see, this group is completely secular. Who were they killing themselves? Not the Maronite militias. Those they would fight in the street battles, but a much more superior enemy that invaded in 1982, the Israeli military. When the Israeli military invaded, it was the SSNP, that's the abbreviation of the party, that conducted the first suicide bombings. And they used both men and women. Now, this is a secular party. It wasn't that they were dying for in the name of Islam or to go to heaven. In fact, this party had both Muslims and Christians. This woman here, she committed suicide, okay? And when she committed suicide, again, it wasn't in the name of going to heaven. It was in the name of Greater Syria. Suicide bombing had secular roots. It's only later that another group in Lebanon that was religious copied the SSNP tactic. So now when you watch this documentary, what I'm going to do is, you see, they don't say it directly what religion they belong to or militia they fought for. And that was the documentary's purpose. It was to show women warriors, not women of the Christian militias or women of the Muslim militias. But when you come from the region, what can you do? You pick up codes, various codes that give away what sect they belong to and then what militia they belong to. So the first one, her name is Eileen. And usually a name like Eileen, we have it in the West, that's an indication that you're a Christian. And then of course, if you come from the region, you could tell also sometimes from the last name. Bulos would be a Christian name. But how do we know she's also Maronite if I didn't even know her name? Having the cross and the machine gun medal, okay? And then finally, an identification that said she belonged to the Lebanese forces. The Lebanese forces was the militia of this guy here. Fadia Bazi. Interesting. Look how this kind of documentary creates the kind of dichotomy of what is the essence of being feminine, but then that counterintuitive notion of also being masculine by taking up arms. The makeup in the beginning. I can deduce which political side she fought for based on what her father referred to, a monster called Israel. In other words, she could have fought for the SSNP. She could have fought for another militia called Hezbollah. That's the religious militia that I referred to that pioneered suicide bombing. But also notice the kind of militarism in our household, how she gives her son toy guns, kind of continuing that militaristic tradition. Now, Maysoon Ferhat is a Christian who fought for the SSNP against another Christian militia called the South Lebanese Army. And it is complicated, I'll tell you this much, because there were so many militias out there. And again, even though she was Christian, look how young she was when she got married, 14, and then she was a mother at 15. And then, you know, those kind of what we would consider underage marriages are the essence of patriarchy. You're literally giving in to a patriarch at that young age. But keep in mind, it has nothing to do essentially with Islam. And then look at this quote about, you know, it sounds like what somebody would say at an NRA rally, you know. But again, this is a consequence of the Civil War. Jocelyn, again, I could just tell from her name. You see, some names, when the parents don't choose a very obviously sounding Christian name, Maisloon Farhat, I couldn't tell immediately. Or her father gave her a secular name on a purpose. He didn't, and sometimes in Lebanon you do this. You don't want your child to be openly identified by what religion you are. Jocelyn, 1973. She's talking about the Palestinians aiming their guns at us. Okay, we haven't gotten to Palestine, Israel yet. But we're going to see later that the Palestinians were kind of dispersed as a refugee community. They came to Lebanon. The Maronites resisted because, of course, most Palestinians are Muslim. The Maronites are Christian. They were worried about upsetting the demographic balance. The other Muslims took the side of the Palestinians, and this is what led to the civil war. Okay, so you see, this is kind of biased. When she says the Palestinians were aiming their guns at us, well, technically, you were also aiming your guns at them as well. Okay. Look at this quote here. Women can be better fighters because she has the energy of mothering and all the energy of love. Again, that kind of counterintuitive notion, or a notion that resists the kind of patriarchal values that we associate with men in combat. Okay. Okay, with Raja Hassan, I know she's Shia. Because when she talks about fighting Israel in 1982, that was when Israel invaded, and that was also the year that Hezbollah emerged. And she also referred to Imam Hussein. And remember what I said to Imam Hussein is this revered figure that we studied ages ago that would be the progenitor of the Shia sect. Wafa Nasrallah, also probably Shia from Hezbollah. Okay. And just look at the kind of key statements that she made. Okay. But now remember, when 1978, she probably joined one of the militias that before Hezbollah was actually formed. Okay. And Soha Bashara is a Christian who believed the South Lebanese army, a Christian militia collaborating with Israel, was kind of, a violation of Arab nationalism. There's a movie made about her life. It's called Incendious that I really recommend. I didn't show it because it didn't have too much to do with kind of women's history per se, even though the woman is a protagonist in that film. Okay. That's the fighting. Now I'm going to go to an element going from patriarchy of the battlefield to patriarchy of the entertainment industry in Lebanon. And Lebanon has quite a sophisticated, a long tradition of music, entertainment. Okay. And I just want to show you the equivalent of Lebanon's Kulthum, if you remember her from Egypt. Now, Kulthum rose to prominence as a result of patriarchy of the state. There was never a strong state in Lebanon. We're going to see later it collapses entirely. Fayrouz just rose to prominence more or less on her own as a talented singer. Not to say Kulthum wasn't talented, but she was part of a political project. I'm going to show you some of her music just so you can get the kind of intensity of her lyrics, okay? But then also so that we can compare it to something else. And you'll see what that something else is. Sorry, wrong screen. No. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to pause. I thought I lost the video. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Of course, you're not going to understand the Arabic, but hopefully you can get some kind of idea of just the profoundness of the language of Fairuz.
حبيبي وحبيبي إلي يا عصفورة بيضة لا بقى تسألي لا يعجب حدا ولا يزعل حدا أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي يا عصفورة بيضة لا بقى تسألي لا يعتب حدا ولا يزعل حدا أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي حبيبي ندهلي قال لي الشتي راح رجعت اليمامي زهر التفاح حبيبي ندهلي قال لي الشتي راح رجعت اليمامي زهر التفاح وأنا على بابك ندي والصباح وبعيونك ربيعي نور وحلي أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي يا عصفورة بيضة لا بقى تسألي لا يعتب حدا ولا يزعل حدا أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي وندهلي حبيبي جيت بلا سؤال من نومي سرقني من راحة البال وندهلي حبيبي جيت بلا سؤال من نومي سرقني من راحة البال أنا على دربه على الجمال يا شمس المحبة حكايتنا غزلي أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي يا عصفورة بيضة لا بقى تسألي لا يعتب حدا ولا يزعل حدا أنا لحبيبي وحبيبي إلي
Carmen, levantando miradas, arde la rambla cuando pasa. Se queda corto este mundo para algo tan bello, mi flor de mairena, y se muere de envidia cada marquesina cuando sale el sol.
I know that ad went. I was watching to see what they were trying to sell. Okay, that is one video that I'll play for its entirety. The others, no. Now look at the lyrics. Let's jump to the 21st century. Look at the lyrics of this, and hopefully you could get some idea that, just as they say what happens in kind of Western or American music, there's a decline in its profundity, if you will, profoundness. You could definitely say it of Lebanese music. Let me play the video for you, and you'll see what Lebanese patriarchy of the market looks like. Well, there we go.
Wow. 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 ليك الواوا بوس الواوا شلت وصار الواوا بح بقربك خبيني اخبرني ودفيني انا من دونك انا برداني ليك الواوا بوس الواوا خلي الواوا يصح يصح لما دست الواوا شلت وصار الواوا بح واوا الليلي أحلى سهرة عند أحبابي بدو ياني ألبس أحلى تيابي الليلي أحلى سهرة عند أحبابي بدو ياني ألبس أحلى تيابي بلبس لعيونك يا حبيبي كل جديد ودح ليك الواوا بوس الواوا خلي الواوا يصح لما بست الواوا شلت وصار الواوا بح ليك الواوا بوس الواوا خلي الواوا يصح لما بست الواوا شلت وصار الواوا بح
And that's enough. If you would want to watch that video on your own, the hyperlink is there. Go away. All right. Now, in this particular video, not only are let's go back to the lyrics. I mean, you already probably understand the word wawa, awi, okay? Oh, see, you speak Arabic already, and you probably got the word habibi by now, my dear, my love. But not only is this kind of, and I sound like an old timer, kind of a degradation of, what was once, Arabic music that was almost poetry to, now this is pop crap, okay? But also the nature of the music itself. It's just this very cheesy, poppy style of music. And I thought, okay, they couldn't get worse. Hold on. Watch the following. I'm going to show you number 3 first. Oh, before we get there. No, wrong one. We'll see that one later. Oh, sorry, I gotta find it again. Oh, no. Okay, now the next performer, her name is Miriam Klink. I know it doesn't sound a very Arabic name, but remember Lebanon, they have a lot of ancient kind of Greek names, Latinized names. So anyway, watch the following.
أنا لكلينك بحب غني أنا لكلينك عم بقدم فني بدي جن بدي طير بدي أحكي اللي عم بيصير بلبنان كتير ولعانة دواليب محروقة ترقات خربانة البيئة لوين وحقوق الإنسان سلاح بكل مكان ما تخربوا لبنان العالم محتارة ع أبواب السفارة بيعان الشهادة ما منا إفادة ديون ضرايب والمس والغايب عم بتحجرونا السفر هو الحل بلدي مقسوم بأخبار السياسة زعمة وأحزاب بيزيدوا المقاسة الوضع مفصوم البلد مقسوم الشعب مهموم والحالة حساسة
That's definitely enough for me. You could watch on your own. But in this case, I pause here because if again, just the lyrics are real crap, nothing profound. She's saying something about weapons destroying Lebanon, amongst other stupid lyrics. The clink, whatever. Yet she's kind of sexualizing and fetishizing these weapons at the same time. Patriarchy of the market using, sexuality on a music video is something that we've associated with the birth of MTV. It's kind of banal in Western culture. It's also banal in Lebanese culture. And remember, these videos are widely consumed throughout the Arab world. Just to kind of give you an idea of this region that you usually associate with kind of ultra-conservative morality, so on and so forth. This is just kind of another window into it. The next two Lebanese music videos I'm showing to you because they have elements of Orientalism in it. And this is, again, I don't know if you remember that Turkish video where I said it's kind of a reflexive Orientalism. We see the same in the next video. Margaret, I would like to take a class with you. Okay, hold on.
Let's start the story a different way. It was dark inside the wolf.
Okay. Notice how they, in Arabic, so Melody's the Arabic version of MTV. Also, just notice how many people speak English, that you could even have a video. Now, this is sung in English, really crap English, but nevertheless sung in English. But the previous one, you have to keep in mind, most people who watch Melody or MTV can read in English, or at least can read the alphabet. Okay, this one too.
Refugee. God, the track is ridiculous. Tony, what up, man? The revolutionary giants swearing. Yeah, here we go.
We're not what you see on CNN or on BBC. Take a look at us, ain't no bombers. We've got the guts. You're gonna experience an Arabic touch with a modern sense. So now is the time. I came up with the rhyme to show you what we're not. Make you listen to what we've got. We've got sexy girls, our beauty that'll rock your world. Loaded guys, you gotta see them when they get there. Dance to the break of dawn. Come and see the fun. See sex and sun. Let the funky Arabs turn you on. Dance with us to the break of dawn. Come and see the fun. See sex and sun. Let the funky Arabs turn you on.
Second verse.
You're gonna like the sound. Exotic beats with the foreign bomb. Vanity and the grace. The bling bling world of a glamorous race. So get on the guest list of the Arabic crowd in a modern twist. Now you gotta catch the sign. You gotta stand up in the line. We'll make you see how hot we can be under the spot. We've got sexy girls, our beauty that'll rock your world. Loaded guys, you gotta see them when they get there. To the break of dawn, come and see the fun. See sex and sun. Let the funky Arabs turn you on. Dance with us to the break of dawn. Come and see the fun. See sex and sun. Let the funky Arabs turn you on. Catch me, take the lead, shake the beat, move your feet, get in the street, on the street.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up now.
Catch me, take the lead, shake the beat, move your feet, get in the street, on the street.
Everybody.
Crap, crap, crap. Okay, but what did we see there? In that case, well, having watched that video compared to the next one, But by the way, if you all got, what was that woman injecting herself with in the bathroom? Botox. Before I go to the next video, actually. No, actually, let me get the, while I'm on the screen, before I start talking about Botox, compare it to the following one. This one I do like because it has nothing to do with the degradation of Arabic culture. But look what's the Orientalist element in the previous video compared to this one.
Saida style. Up, up, up. Saida style. بلبس جديد ببحر العيد بنزل على الكورنيشة بزروا دورة كلاوي فولو عراس البوستيجة بشتغل الصبعة على البر بالليل حل استراتيجة الظهر بسوق بعكس السر والعاصر بنفش ريشة صيداوي بعيش عاكل الملبن والسنيورة صيداوي بعيش شبح بعبرة على الأمورة صيداوي بعيش على التخميس وعلى الجزدورة صيداوي بعيش بفلت على الحيط بعمل فنتورة وحد الليوي ممنوع الخمرة ممنوع الدهرة مغرب موهوم سكسون سوين لما جسمين صد للإدمان ما في أمل كله فلتر رزق الله عايم زمان عبقول لك غوبة صيدا ستايل صيدا ستايل صيدا ستايل هوب 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 صيدا ستايل وبيان فقع الرقعة صوت زعيق ام احمد عجارته دب المسكر عياط وصريخ ومين سارق كلسيته وانا قاعد عالشباك بلطش عبانيته فنجان شاي ورقوة قهوة وعبريقة حركاته سيداوي بعيش ما شعري دايما كتير صريحة ليش الحشيش عنا مكب كله ريحة سيداوي بعيش الفلوكة ابدا مش ربيحة كيف بدي عيش وكل يوم بنام صبيحة انا سيداوي وحد الليوي ممنوع الخمرة ممنوع الدهرة مغرب موهوم سكسون سوين لما جسمين صد الإدمان ما في أمل كله فلتر رزق الله عايم زمان
Saida style.
Up, up, ولا نكفي up, up, ولا نكفي
Oppa Saida style.
Okay, in that case, again, you see how the belly dancing is owned in 2 videos. Okay. Now, in this case, the one about the one that was kind of ripping off Gangnam Style, that was a parody of all things that was going wrong in Lebanon. The previous video was dealing with kind of stereotypes of Middle Easterners. And again, appropriating the belly dancer. The second video was not meant to be seen by Westerners. Westerners wouldn't get it. Nonetheless, You see how even in this kind of parody of a video, the belly dancer has, what was really kind of what the West expects of the Middle East. The kind of Middle East has owned it. And that probably is going to be the last time we're going to be talking about belly dancers in this class. So let's bring the subject to an end. In the previous video, what did we see? Women using Botox. And I could say Botox is another form of, if you want, it's almost kind of a form of, I don't quiz you on this, or I mean, I don't ask you about this because it's not a fully developed idea, but kind of biological patriarchy. I would argue, and it gets tricky, but when women, because men also use it, but I mean, things like plastic surgery, these kind of very physical scars you make on your body. I mean, literally attacking the body with scalpels or needles to make oneself more attractive. Yeah, I don't know how to theorize that, but the most important thing about Botox is actually a biological weapon. It's a toxin. It's called botulinum toxin in heavy doses. Okay, it can be weaponized. Both the U.S. and the USSR experimented with weaponizing that. And if you want to ask yourself, what is, chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons, they're all weapons of mass destruction. What weapon of mass destruction has killed the most people since their development in modern times? Well, it's Botox, okay? Not as in the case of weaponizing it, but bad Botox bought off the internet that's not regulated has ended up killing more people in botched Botox jobs. Because what it does, it goes straight for your nervous system. It basically kills the nerves that cause aging. Too much of it will go kill your nervous system entirely. And that's what happens when you not careful and you order Botox on the internet to do it at home or in the bathroom of this Lebanese nightclub. Anyway, let's go back to the lecture. What do all of these videos mean? So I say this is an example of patriarchy of the market. It's a marketization, commodification of sexuality. So what is this Arabic cartoon? It's saying, what kind of TV viewers are there? The one on the right is somebody who watches the news, rubbing their eyes, tired. One who watches the klibat. Now you see him drooling his tongue out. Klibat is just the Arabic of clip. In Arabic, you can't say the letter P. So they say B. So clip becomes klib. Make it plural, you don't put clips, you put klibat. At is how you make the plural. Okay. And again, what is this suggesting as this kind of the over-sexualization? And then finally, somebody who watches what? Reality TV in the Middle East. And Lebanon is also known for its reality TV productions, okay? So think about this. Remember Haifa Wehbi that I showed you previously in her music video? What about this? Take a spoiled diva, put her on a farm and see her struggles, and you have a reality TV show called The Farm. If that sounds familiar, then that means you're a bit older, or you just know a lot about the life of Paris Hilton. Okay, so in other words, that was something that was a reality TV series with Paris Hilton. Take this kind of spoiled diva, put her on a farm, and watch her struggle, and the entertainment ensues. That's the premise of the following. Okay. Now, what did this poet say about these clips and reality TV? Well, it's kind of a form of cultural imperialism. It makes Arab youth want to become what they can never be. It's kind of a demonstration, a manifestation of the elite trying to imitate the American model and become it. Okay. So here we get to an element of the globalization of American culture. And what we see here, the MTV style music clip definitely has come to the Middle East, and that women using their sexuality on the clip has also come to the Middle East. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, it's not a matter of these performers being Christian or Muslim. Miriam Klink is Christian. Haifa Wehbi is a Shia Muslim. She comes from the same sect I do. And yeah, she wasn't into music. I mean, never mind. What else is a very common, and another kind of form, I don't know if you could call this biological patriarchy, but remember when we saw kind of how Iranian women were going under the scalpel to have kind of Barbie looking noses. Lebanon is also the other kind of central places where plastic surgery is quite common. Okay. And the word for plastics, oh, I don't know if you'll get this. I usually have to be in class and I show a translated video. But the word for military operation and plastic surgery is the same in Arabic. Nancy Ajram is another kind of pop diva. Speaking of which, let's also look at what does Lebanon is also unique in the region for having a history of beauty pageants. And this is a woman critiquing the tradition of Miss Lebanon pageants, because of course, just like any pageant, it's, I mean, historically, it's, can you think of something more patriarchal, but a group of men judging women? Now, like I say, beauty pageants in Lebanon and in the old days in the US were a bunch of men rating women as if they're, you know, prized livestock at a county fair. Oh, okay. And I mean, I'm using the metaphor that I got from the reading about the Miss Lebanon pageant. Okay. What's the word? What's the, I have to explain to you. What's the word for connections? Okay. And the connections to get anything done in Lebanon is called wasta. And basically, what is this Lebanese critic saying about Western Lebanon? That those who win probably have political connections. The one who wins this contest. And these were real questions during the Miss Lebanon pageant. And just so we don't forget, actually, I need a good laugh, so let's watch it. It's good. No, you can watch this anyway. I'm just going to skip this. This is quite an interesting article. And if you don't mind, let me pause here. I'm going to break it up and do the 50-minute thing again. You'll get the next 50 minutes on either Tuesday or Wednesday. Oh, what a funny place to pause, but I'm just, let me see here. Let me finish up just a few more slides, and then I'll save the discussion for the movie, which for a later lecture. And the movie, you know, watch it to enjoy it. It's not going to be on the exam. God forbid I teach you something without you having to worry about it being on the test. And God forbid enjoy your education without thinking about the exam. Who would ever thought that's possible? Let me just finish up the next kind of 2 slides. This slide deals with linguistic patriarchy. Let me introduce you to an Arabic insult. If a man is upset with his neighbor, he curses the neighbor's vagina, not the man's mother's vagina, okay? You angry with the enemy, you curse your enemy's sister's vagina. If a man, again, misspelling there, pissed with political leader, he curses their mother's and sister's vagina. If a man stubs his toe against the table, you curse the mother of the table's vagina. And yes, if you look at this insult, now, how is this linguistic patriarchy? Well, I'll tell you. Because in theory, if you really want to insult another man, you say, I'm not going to teach you this in Arabic. This could get me in a lot of trouble. You say to him, your mother's vagina. That's literally. Now, in English, that sounds funny. Can you imagine these two gangs starting a fight saying, your mama's vagina? That wouldn't start the fight necessarily. No, I'm not even thinking of the crude version. Not really. Oh. What's the idea behind this curse? Is look how I've taken away your honor. I have referred to your mother's or your sister's private parts, and you can do nothing about it. That's an insult to a man's honor. And yeah, the minute you say that to a man, you know you're going to get into a fight. Okay. That is something you say if you want to get into a fight. All right. Usually you say it when the target is not around, but that's the ethos behind it. This is just another example. And so in both cases, I assigned you two Lebanese writers, two female Lebanese writer, one dealing with this and the other with the beauty pageant. I'm going to show you just conclude with this video of a woman standing up to a patriarch, okay? Where out of respect, he's an Islamist, she wore the veil, okay? Watch the following. Now, I say that, I first have to see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. So this is on Lebanese TV. This is a Lebanese journalist. Oh, okay, yeah, I could shut myself off, but I still need to get you a video. There we go.
بالنسبة لموضوع الاستقطاب مثلا مجموعة من المسيحيين أو من النصارى ينضمون إلى تنظيم إسلامي أو يؤيدونه أو يلتحقون به، هذه فكرة، على فكرة هذه فكرة قديمة وليست فكرة حديثة، هي فكرة قديمة وظهرت ليست قديمة في عمق التاريخ، ولكنها كانت في فترة في أوج عنفوانها في المد الثوري اليساري في حقبة السبعينات بصفة خاصة. رأينا منظمات يسارية كالألوية الحمراء في إيطاليا والجيش الأحمر في ألمانيا اللي هو بدر يمنهوف، وعندك ايضا كارلوس.
بس خليها تحديدا بهذا الوقت دكتور سباعي، بهذا الوقت خلينا نحكي بهذا الوقت كيف عم بتكون آلية استقطابهم؟ شو الشعارات اللي عم تنقل لهم لينضموا؟
انا لا، اسمعي انت ستقاطعين وانا اجيب كما اريد، انا لا تجيبي كما انت. مش انا جاي هنا شاهد زور، انا بأخدم الفكره التي اريدها.
نحن بنحترم انه حضرتك
هذا الاسلوب،
بتمنى انه ما تنفعل، نحن بنحترم حضرتك انه بدك تعطي اجابه وافيه، بس للاسف وقتنا قصير.
انا اتفقت مع الاستاذ ابراهيم حربي.
طيب اتفضل
اتفقت مع الاستاذ ابراهيم حربي الا تقاطعي.
تفضل اعطونا شباب وقت. تفضل
تبيني لنفسك انك مميزه.
تفضل بدون ما توصفني، تفضل.
أنا أخدم الفكرة التي أريدها.
أنا هون سيد الاستوديو وسيد الكلام، لو سمحت أنا عم بقول لك قصة الوقت لأخدم لك إجابتك، إذا ما نتوسع كثير بالإجابة ما راح يكون في عنا وقت لبقية الأسئلة، إذا بنرجع بحقبات تاريخية بعيدة ما راح يكون عنا وقت لنخدم الموضوع. الشغلة واقفة عليك، تيكون عنا وقت.
يعني إحنا في
لحظة، تيكون عنا وقت لنجاوب على كل الأسئلة، بس مين بيقرر الموضوع؟ أنا بقرره. أنا هون بقرره.
قرري، لا قرري ولا تقرري، هذا لاختيارك، أنا هنا أفعل ما أشاء أنا أيضا.
طب تفضل سمعني إجابتك، خلينا نرجع للموضوع، ما نضيع وقت بجدال بلا طبع.
خلاص، طب اسكتي حتى أستطيع أن أتكلم. أولا هذه أنا بأتكلم لكي يفهم
أول شيء كيف شيخ محترم مثلك بيقول اسكتي لمذيعة؟ معلش، كيف بتقول اسكتي يعني؟
أنا محترم.
خلص ما عاد بدي كفي هذا الموضوع. فينا نوقف الموضوع؟
أنا لا يشرفني إن أحضر.
فينا نوقف الموضوع لو سمحتوا شباب؟
لا أنت
لحظة، يعني أو بده يكون في احترام متبادل أو بلي الموضوع كله.
بالنسبة لموضوع الاستقطاب مثلا مجموعة من المسيحيين أو من النصارى ينضمون إلى تنظيم إسلامي أو يؤيدونه أو
I don't know why you repeat on twice, but a very good, just a very good example and a rare example of a woman standing up to patriarchy, a patriarch on TV. Very good. I'm going to discuss the film in the next lecture to kind of just help you understand that what it can teach you about patriarchy. Like I said, it's not going to be on the exam, but it's a good review in terms of what it can teach us about patriarchy. Okay, thank you.